living on the farm. Dad liked the farm very much. So they both did. Mom always grew a big garden to feed us kids because we didn't have too much money to spend on all kinds of things, just enough for groceries and things. But we had a lot of food from the garden and a lot of meat from chickens and eggs, and so we were never starved, even though we didn't have too much money to spend. But we never felt it that there was no money.
In those days, we didn't know what toys were. Absolutely no recollection of having any bought toys in hand. And of course, we created our own sports, our own entertainment ideas of spending our time. My time was spent a lot of times in a little bluff just north of the house, and it was a very entertaining spot because at that time crows used to nest there, and crows bring back memories of making pocket money, and that was hunting for crows with a slingshot. If you ever try and hit a crow with a slingshot, stone thrown at it, well, it's quite an event. How many times? But our idea was to tear the nest down. And every egg that we collected, we got a nickel for it. So that was a lot of torn pants, hooked up on the branches, knees worn off, and if we had a good week, we might make ourselves a dime, because crow eggs were pretty high in seclusion, way up in the trees. We had to climb the trees, bring the eggs down, and when you put an egg in the pocket in the shirt, you could imagine how many eggs were left by the time we did get down. But that was part of fun, and our also means of entertainment. Marlene, she tried it, but she was just a little too tiny for that sport. We used to have a gas drum, roll it out in the yard, and then jump on it and lay it down sideways, and then roll it, pretending we're running on the ground, but we're actually propelling the barrel underneath our feet, and see how far across the yard we can get with the barrel. And we did create a few incidences of taking a bad fall, but it was all fun. I did learn how to make what do you call them? And you might think of it, sticks that you try to walk on. Agatha, you should remember that one. You have an idea what it is I'm talking about?
Stilts.
Oh, of course, stilts, yes. And we were pretty good at it. And I always challenged my dad to have a race with him. He was so good at it. He's the one that instilled the idea in my mind, and that's where we spent our time also. And more praying proposition was already as I advanced to an age where I could handle at 22, which was about 12 years old, maybe possibly 12, and we're hunting gophers or trapping gophers. That is where we made most of our pocket money. The RM of Blaine Lake used to pay a token. They call them token because give us how many tickets, how many gophers we trapped or shot, and then at the end of the month I'd bring in the whole bag full of tails that I scavenged from the gophers that we caught. And of course, at times I used to bring in 50 cents worth, 50 gopher tails. That was a good amount of change for us at that time. I was able to go shopping on a Saturday with my parents and exchange our money for chocolate bars. And one time in particular, we kind of cheated it a little bit on that. We'd catch the gopher and tear the tail off. It was about 3 inches long. We'd break the tail in half, so we could make 2 tails out of one. I never let the gopher go. The poor animal, we didn't realize he had to suffer. So we'd catch the gopher and strip the tail off and let the gopher go back into the field, hoping that the gopher would grow a new tail. Well, that wasn't a very pleasant idea. At that time, we didn't realize that the poor gopher did have to suffer with it also more than we did. But that's just a part of our entertainment that we created. We did build swings on the trees in the bush, and some of them were, at that time it looked awfully high, about 15 feet off the ground. And there were times that we spilled out of the swing and did come crashing into the ground. And that was one of the highlights of dangerous living for us. My favorite was playing ball in school. I was the youngest kid, so it took me some years to grow up into the stage where the oldest would accept me into their ball team. And come to a point where we were building up a kind of a nice ball team but from our school district, and we developed quite a strong team. And one objective of the game was to have the boys and girls play together as teamwork. We had 4 girls on a team and 3 boys. But we were good at it. We used to travel to other school districts. And of course they came to our school, competition in softball playing. And we did develop a kind of a championship, but never got a medal for it or trophy or anything. Just the honor of being the top players. And at one time, the Blaine Lake team, they were all high school boys, and they were professional because they played all the other towns around in the district, and they were the top players. So our teacher organized a game between that school, high school team, and our little team that we played in our own grounds at that time. They came on the card, and they were acting real macho, that they were the top players, trying to intimidate us. Well, after the ball game, we played a terrific game. We had accomplished a score of 10 runs. Their team had accomplished a score of 0. I could even picture it now, the boys leaving our school ground, rather sad looking. But those days were over as we played in grade 10. I was in grade 10. Grade 11, some of the boys disappeared, the girls left school, so our teamwork, ball playing, was gone. But those were good days that we had. Not all of us had bicycles, some of us. I was fortunate to have a bicycle that I had earned with my own work, hauling sheaves during harvest time. We were paid $2 a day, and that day started from 6 in the morning till 8 in the afternoon. It was heavy work for the first year. I played with my cousin, not played, but worked together on one hay rack. And we split that $2 between the two of us. So he made $1 and I made $1. We had a neighbor across the road, a fellow named Gus. He and I were also pals and played together a lot of times. So we did, it's just a side memory, and it was his parents used to make summer sausage and bury it in a granary of wheat. Wheat, maintain it cold, stored from the winter months. So it was a cool place to store the sausage, and we just play in the sausage, find a ring, break off a piece, and we'd have a good lunch. Right there, there were two of us we had. And it was a good sausage. We enjoyed it very much. And of course, that's a good place to store sausage. It's cold, and no flies, no bugs could get to it. So it preserved very well, right into summer months. Well, it's just a little side memory. My favorite dog. The dog's name was Brownie. A little collie dog, but a real smart little doggy. Rather I did, like Marlene, she was just the audience, and I played the harmonica on the veranda step, played whatever, I wish I could at now a recording of what kind of a tune did I play. It was mostly songs that I heard from my parents singing. They were Russian songs, but I picked up a melody or so I just played on my harmonica over and over, practicing to be a genius at it, professional. But my little friend Doggie used to sit beside me and just enjoyed my music. And then he developed a certain talent in howling and joined me in accompaniment. I played the music and the dog sang, of course, with my prompting. I sang the Russian songs to a dog. And that is one thing. In all my life, I think anybody that enjoyed my singing, and I did do a lot of singing to myself and out loud, but anyway, the dog was my favorite. Enjoyed all my music. We did acquire another puppy from Summers, and I was playing with along the road. And the neighbor, he was just 15, 16 years old, he come along with a gun, 22, and he shot it. That was a real tragedy for me. So I buried that dog just where it was shot, along the road beside a telephone pole. Whatever possessed that young fellow to do it, but I guess in his mind he didn't realize this would be a very tragic occasion for me to experience. And talking about dogs, one time I was coming home, summertime on a bike. It was just the darkest night you can think of. You just had to steer the bike by the sense of the wheel where you travel. And I was driving along fairly good speed. You get home, it was late at night. And all at once I feel a brush on my leg. Something's there, running along. I looked down and I just saw the form of a dog running along with myself, with me riding the bike, for a good half a mile. And then disappeared. I came home and disappeared. Now whether it was our own dog that came to meet me, I couldn't see the shape of it. Or some strange dog that came along and followed me on the way home. And it gave me kind of an odd feeling, to have something all at once brushing your leg. What in the world could it be? Talking about cats, one time I was to see Agatha over at her place, and I had the car window open, started out for home, and all at once I feel something like some with a feather brush against my neck. And then once more, it scares you. What is it? And you could feel that there is something behind me. So the next time I felt that, I reached behind, I grabbed it, it was a cat. A cat had jumped into the car window and riding along with me. And while I was driving, it was running or walking along the back part of the seat. Every time I walked by, the tail would brush my neck. So I thought of it many times. This was a good excuse for me to go back and visit once more, see her, to bring the cat back, But I threw the cat outside and out the window and I kept going. So. Going back sometime in my life when I was in my early teens, possibly, but maybe, no, I was about 10 years old, let's put it that way. I was fascinated with guns at that time, shells and shotguns. And my dad wouldn't give me the shotgun to play with or to work with. But I improvised a shotgun on my own. Found a piece of pipe, put it in a vise in my shop, and to make put the shell in there, into the pipe. Now what do I do to make it fire? I took a punch and I put it into the pipe to hit the shell, and it fired off. And I had my sister Marlene, she was about 5 at that time. I told her to hide behind a block of wood, big block of wood. But she was there with me. She was my tag along all the time. No matter where I was, dangerous and fun, we were together all the time. The pipe exploded and disappeared. I never found the pipe after what happened to it. I had a few scrapes from the shrapnel, whatever it was. Took the skin of one of my hands, it scraped it right off. And I got scared, and knowing that I was warned not to play with anything like that, my parents were out in the field digging potatoes, and they heard the shotgun blast, or whatever it was. So Mom come running to the yard. In the meantime, I knew I was in for it, for doing that. I took off across the field, and where did I go? I had a favorite auntie. And I went to her place. And she knew something had happened. Because the blood in my hands was on my face, I took a piece of shrapnel into my ear. And I was sitting there as if nothing happened. Oh, everything's all right. And of course, it was during harvest time. When I left the yard, I left a trail of my tracks through the wheat. And Mom was able to follow me just by my path that I beat through the wheat. And found me sitting there at Auntie's place. Well, that is one time she found a nice little whip, a willow whip, and she marched me all the way home. I think she was terrified of what happened there, because I wasn't hurt. Well, anyways, that just left a mark in my memories. The blast, it blew up, and I got scared.
Yeah, and my dad tried also to be a little bit inventive too. We didn't have power at our place on the farm. Kids came home, we had to do homework or something. It was by this little kerosene lamp with and it was kind of, used to get pretty strainful on the eyes. Anyway, and so what Dad did, he decided he's going to make a windmill to generate electricity. And now, exactly how he did it, I wouldn't know those things, but it was a thing, some kind of a motor that he had with a wind-propelled thing, and it had to be set up. So he had one of the neighbors come over and they set this thing up because he couldn't lift it by himself So they set this up, and that thing was with wind. It was generating electricity. I don't know how to explain it, but he had wires going into the house, and he put a little light bulb in there in the house, and sure enough, we got light. Now, don't ask me how he did it exactly, but he did. And we called it the windcharger. So maybe somebody would read about windchargers. So I mean, my dad knew that he, I think maybe he was an inventor of it. I don't know for sure, but he knew what it's all about. And that's the kind of dad I had. He was smart, not very educated well, but he was kind. And he was uh, trying to do what he can for his family so that they could have a light in the house and they do things like that. It seems simple, but it meant a lot to us.
My daddy used to brag, and I could see he was a powerful man. He used to do wrestling. He was good at it. Anyways, it was living on the farm. Our neighbor north of us raised foxes. And of course, the foxes would come loose once in a while and start roaming around the fields and come and raid our chickens at home on the farm. Well, that was acceptable. And in the meantime, my dead cow or horse, cows got into his crop also. So Dad went over to see the neighbor about it, and the neighbor got angry about it and made some moves to fight to hit Dad, whatever it was. My dad caught him by the shirt collar and lifted him up and just set him on a hot stove. And I wish I had seen it, but I didn't see it. But he was happy about the event because he kept his foxes in the pens, and my dad kept his cattle where they belonged. I was 17 when I got, for my birthday, I got my army call. But at that time, during my ball games I used to play, I got hit in one eye with a tip ball, you know, where you catch a ball here and it gets tipped by the bat and rises up, and I lost my vision in one eye, something less than half a head. So that's something I told the soldiers. Say, I can't see very good. Say, you don't have to have very good sight. Say, you could get by with what you have. And then my hearing also. So the doctor in Blaine Lake, Dr. Batanov, he put me on the exemption, health exemption. And they needed boys on the farm at that time. If the family had one son on the farm, they were exempted to stay out from the army. I started my grade 11 in school, correspondence, and about a month of it, it was busy harvesting time. I was hauling sheaves to make some extra money, and I never went back to school. course, I did venture into drinking. And at one time, I had a little bit, maybe too much to drink. And I happened to have another girl that was teaching in Greystones as my companion to go to a certain country school dance. And, I had sense enough that I shouldn't drive. I felt rather tipsy or drunk. That's my first venture into that life. And so I asked her to drive me home and herself. And I felt very, very bad about it that a girl driving me home. I had a kind of a unpleasant thinking about it that it wasn't the right thing to do. It didn't establish my credibility too much with her. So, but she left the district. She was a teacher and moved to another area of Saskatchewan. And so I did attempt to drink several times after. And I think that did get me out of my reserve feelings that I had. I was always standing in the shadows, hiding and to break that of what you call it, well, the strength that was alcohol was overtaking my life, and I quit. I did take some after, but I absolutely made up my mind that's not the right life. So I just left that part of life. And there were occasions where I witnessed some of my relatives, they were inclined for heavy drinking, and their behavior wasn't exactly acceptable to my feelings about it. I didn't care for it. That they made fools of themselves, and they just didn't strike the right way of life.
Yeah, I should tell you before I go any further, I guess, that about my mom and dad on the farm. They were hard workers. Mom grew, I think I mentioned, grew a big garden, and she raised chickens, and had eggs, had always had enough food. And my dad was kind of a self-educated mechanic. He didn't have a high education. He only had his grade 3 or 4. But he knew how to fix machinery of any kind, which was simpler than what we used to work with. But the things that still needed some fixing sometimes, and he did blacksmithing. He had a little blacksmith of his own, very, not like the kind modern ones, but the old-fashioned kind, but it was a blacksmith that he was able to sharpen his own plowshares or whatever he had to do. But he was always doing something there. So he was ambitious, very ambitious. And he tried to do the best he can on the farm with his small machinery, but with, which was actually with horses a lot of time. But then later on, when I was already a teenager, he got himself a little tractor. Boy, he was so proud of that. He and his brother also had a thrashing outfit that they went out, like didn't have combines at that time, but they had stooks to thrash the grain from and pile up straw for cattle. The cattle were able to use the farmer used the straw for cattle, for feed, for bedding, whatever. But so Dad and his brother had this thrashing outfit. Dad was always the engineer for that. He'd see that the tractor is fixed, that the thrashing machine is going well, and all that. So that was one way. And I remember when they used to thrash at our place, I remember liking to go and give these guys their lunch. Mom would make a bunch of sandwiches. She would make pirashki sometimes, and the coffee and everything. And I just loved to go and see how these guys are enjoying this lunch while they were, during the break when they didn't have to haul their sheaves. They'd sit down and relax for a while. So that was one way of that my dad and mom made a living there too, by thrashing at home, thrashing for somebody else and somebody else.
It was a winter of 1954. My uncle and I were out in the field with a team of horses and a hay rack, and we had to pick up sheaves to feed the cattle in the yard because winter, bad winter, strong winter, and a long winter, a lot of snow. We had to go out into the field and pick up the sheaves to bring home to feed the cattle. And there's a favorite pastime of mine was carrying a 22 along all the time. And I had sighted the rabbit, aimed at the rabbit, and then it was too far, whatever it was, I didn't fire the gun. So as I put the gun down with the barrel up, I was standing there and the horse jerked and threw me forward, and to keep my balance, I put the gun down with the stock down to the floor, and he fired. And the bullet went right through the peak of my cap, right past my nose. It fired right there. That was a scary one. I kept that cap for a long time with the bullet hole in the peak as a reminder of what I experienced. During combining time, the combine had plugged up on the front feeder, and I got into the feeder, dislodging the straw. And I left the combine running with the feeder stopped up. I didn't realize, and I threw the hand clutch out that activated the feeder. But we did one of those freak things that the clutch kicked in while I was in the feeder, and it started turning the feeder pipe, and the retracting finger in the feeder, in the auger, hit the heel of my shoe, and the auger stopped. The auger stopped, and I was able to get the hold on the feeder header above me, behind me, and tried to get my foot out, and it dislodged from the retracting figure. The whole auger started turning, and one more time, another retracting finger hit my heel, and it stopped the header from turning. In the meantime, I was able to get hold of the pipe behind me, part of the header, And I was able to just lift myself out of there and flip myself on top of the feeder housing. And I survived that one. It's a wonder I ever did survive that one twice in a row to get that thing stopped that way by hitting the heel of my shoe. Incidentally, a friend of ours, his brother got caught in the same predicament, identical, and he didn't survive it. It killed him. So that doubled my fear, how close I came to getting hurt or even crippled up, whatever. I had pulled the motor off a combine to do some work on it, and I had blocked up the combine real good. I'd take the wheel off the combine to pull the motor out. And I had parked behind a building. In the meantime, a freak whirlwind came through the yard and hit the back end of a combine and twisted it at an angle and moved the combine off the block, and the combine was ready to drop. I realized there was danger there, so I rolled out of there as quick as I could. As I rolled out, the combine came crashing down, and of course, it pinned down my tail of my shirt. And I had to tear the shirt off to get out from underneath it, get away from the combine. That even now, just to think of it, it gives me the shivers of thinking of those incidents. How many times I had come close to being hurt. The farm that we had bought, it was bush there, and the family that lived there before, they left the place, and he had dug a well in the bush. How deep it was, about 10 feet maybe, but covered it up with logs or timber or whatever. And as I was walking through the bush, I stepped on that cover-up of the well, and I went crashing into the well. Well, it was about 7 foot drop, but there's no water in there. I was able to clamber out of there. Nobody knew where I was. It was so far, we were married already, and I could have been caught there for days, and nobody would know where I was. But I clambered out of there. That was a scare also. So I had my share of scares in my life. Yeah, I remember taking over farming together with Dad, and I still had to work with horses. 4 horses in the team in the line, or even 6. But this one time in particular, I was out in the field harrowing, and I could see that big thundercloud, storm cloud coming up from the field. I was a little ways from home, and I realized that I'd never make it with the implement hooked up to the horse. So I quickly unhooked the horses from the eveners, and I headed on the run behind the horses. I come into the yard, and the storm was already breaking. There's just thunderclaps are just terrific. Seldom ever heard them that wild. And as I had to unhook, the horses were still hooked up one to the other one up on their bridle bits to keep them in, to be able to steer them, to tell them where to go. And anyways, I was up in front of the horses, just going to unhook the straps from their bit, and one particular thunderclap hit so hard, it was actually within 50 feet of us. Horses panicked. And since they were still hooked up together, they formed a circle. And they knocked me down. I was on the ground. Here they're trying to fighting their way to get unhooked. And I just crawled up on the ground expecting to get stepped on by the horse any time. But somehow they broke apart and took off for the barn. But as the thunderclap had hit at that time, there was a little bluff of bush that we had not far away, and we had some pigs there, about 14, 15, and they were lying under the clump of trees. And of course, out of the corner of my eyes, I saw that as the clap hit, must have been right amongst them. Whatever it was, they all scattered from their nest that they were lying together. It's just like a handful of peas scattered at once, and they all took off in different directions through the fence, and they were gone. But I was too busy trying, and I'm so glad that I escaped from getting trampled by the horses. But it was kind of a scary sight and an interesting sight to see the way the whole thing happened. I sure would have liked to see a video of that happening at that time. A friend of mine, Johnny Conkin, Peter Kalesikov, and Doris Popov. No, not Popov, what? I don't even remember. Anyways, we were going out to pick up some girls to go to a wedding. In the meantime, we had stopped in Blaine Lake by the cafe, had our coffee, and then we decided to proceed to Marshland. And our friend, Peter Duchek and Walter Chutskov, they were on a motorbike, and Johnny and the rest of us on the car, and we were driving towards Marshland, and they had gone ahead of us, Peter and Walter, and of course we were driving along, and so part of the highway, it was a rather sharp turn, and a bush on the corner. And as we were coming around the corner, we come upon Peter and Walter making a U-turn on the middle of the highway on their motorbike. And of course, what do? Johnny was driving. He decided to evade them as much as he could, and he hit the shoulder of the road and took the steering wheel rod out from steering, so he had no control on the driving of the car. And he couldn't avoid hitting the motorbike. He tried his best. He hit the front end of the motorbike and sent the motorbike flying through the air and Peter also was thrown off quite severely. And Walter was sitting the buddy at the back of the motorbike, and the car hit the front wheel of the motorbike and pulled the motorbike out from underneath Walter Chusko's. As he was sitting there, he was left standing in the middle of the highway, amazed what happened there, that all this could have happened within the instant. And as we were heading for the ditch, I called out, "Get on the floor," to Peter Kolesnikov, and Peter, in the process of getting down, he said, "God, don't let me die." And of course we did survive that. We hit the bank of a roadside ditch, and the car had climbed about an 8-foot bank and then turned into a rollover position, and we went rolling down the highway. I don't know how many times we rolled, 4 or 5 times. And we survived that, but not even a scratch. I was driving into the city one time, and right by the airport area, and I happened to see this car coming crossing the line and heading straight for me. And to avoid that incident, I took the ditch, and the car just went right past me, just within the whiskers distance. And in another 2 months or so, same scenario happened to me. And almost I think that looked like the same woman that was driving the car, heading for me again on the same area. And I had to take the ditch. In the meantime, my sister Ann was along with me. She got scared and she opened the door out of panic, to jump out from the car or whatever it was. But the bank on the opposite, on her side, shut the door back on her, slammed the door right back in her face. So, those 2 incidents within a month or so had an effect on me that what a scary situation that happened to me just about directly head on, because that car just came aiming straight for me. A friend of mine and his sister were driving from a country school dance just north of the city, and I let him drive while the 2 of us were sitting just side by side, let's put it that way. And for some reason, he was I could see that he wasn't, he never drove after, actually, before in his life. And I let him do it, you know. He forgot how to slow down, he forgot how to turn. And I finally had to reach over and grab the steering wheel to aim the car for safety. We ran into a telephone pole and sheared the pole right off with the car. In that instance, I had gone to the city telling the parents I'd be home sometimes. So here I had to fall, and I had wrecked the car. Not much, but couldn't drive it. So I had to come home the next morning. I'm sorry, Dad, I can't come home today. Why? He said, of course, it's our own language, just... Well, I had just a little accident, but I'll be home. Everything's all right. So I had the car towed in. My friend found a body shop. It was Saturday night. And he came, picked up the car and drove over to the shop, straightened out the frame in the car. And everything was all right. But that was knocking down a telephone post. It was a fairly strong collision, but there was no damage to the car except the bumper was bent. Those cars were built strong at that time, not like plastic cars that they make now. Another incident, my cousin, her brother, and a friend of ours were driving along the old country road by Marceline. And I could see a truck, a grain truck, heading directly right into us, totally in the wrong lane. And I just barely survived that, such a close encounter, but he never hit me. And then but that fellow that was driving the truck, he was quite well known for his drinking. He was drunk at that time. But those were the close head-on collisions that I had come within danger and surviving. So where am I now? Just take it as it comes. It depends on the good Lord to keep me carrying me on. He carried me through many problems in my lifetime, picked me up, and he carried me through my troubles, and he was there with me. Even with the accidents that I had, it's a wonder I survived. That was, 3 of them were exceptionally miracle that whatever happened, that I survived them. And today I'm thankful that I did reach the age of
I don't know why I get tangled into this.
Nah, because I'm so
$400.
You're so persistent.
$500.
That's right. Okay, talk a
No,
little bit.
no, but I've
more
been,
here about it.
honey, I don't know where I'm going to begin yet. So you got to give me,
For sure.
you got to prompt me a little bit.
I'm just doing just testing some of this stuff.
Testing.
Okay, keep testing.
Testing. Hello.
Okay.
We're still testing. He's being bossy, isn't he?
Oh yeah, so bossy.
So bossy. Oh, yeah, I don't know why you're forcing me into this, honey. Oh boy, I hate to be center of attraction. Ay, ay, ay.
All right, so I'll
No.
get this ready to go.
No,
When do you want to start?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
You tell me, Christopher, what I should do. How I should look.
You look great.
Even like this?
Even like that.
Now you're not telling the truth.
Well, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to tell you.
Oh, good.
No idea.
Well, I'll ask you questions. I'll ask you about your parents and where you grew up and what life was like and farming and
Oh,
all the times you almost got killed. You have lots of good stories about that, eh?
And at school, when he lay down and was watching the clouds go by, instead of going to school.
Yeah, or when you tried to shoot that shotgun shell on a pipe.
oh, come on.
You have
now.
lots of good stories to tell, Dada. I know, because I've heard a lot of them. Okay, here, just 1 second.
You
I'm gonna
remember it.
keep messing this thing here. Oh, yeah. I love those stories. They're my favorites because they're like our family stories.
How do I start?
Just, like you and Dad always told me to try and convince me to, finish school. Just step into the water. Just take that first step.
Step into the water. Yeah, I like that song. Yeah, it's very good. Wade a little bit deeper.
Distract Papa. She's looking for ways out of this right now.
You're not filming.
Yeah, you're on.
I'm on.
This is my first edition at videotaping and just telling you a part of my life story.
Yeah, nice. Okay, good. Yeah, you don't even have to raise your voice because the microphone is right there. So just talk like you normally talk, you know?
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. I'm used to trying to talk loud. With my hearing, I have a hard time adjust my voice
Right.
because my voice sounds very loud to me within.
Yeah.
And then I actually talk too quiet because I don't know how loud to talk or how quiet to talk. So I have a problem with that.
It's excellent. We have 4, 5, 6 hours or something.
Oi, oi, oi. That's lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much.
But think about it. I mean, how many years have you lived? Between the two of you, you've lived over 170 years.
Oh yeah, of course, yes.
So to summarize that in 4 or 5 hours, it's not too much. It's
No,
just
you
capturing the rest. Yeah. Wow, that's funny to think when you combine your two lifespans. How many years have you done together?
Well, together,
How old are you?
86, 87.
You're 87. How old is Dada?
86.
I can't remember because you guys, your ages keep changing.
Yeah, we'll get older every year, hon.
So, okay, 80 and 80 is 160 plus 7 and 6. That's 100. So you have 173 years between the two of you.
Yeah, but each one is individual. Individual age. I have my 87 and he has his 86.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a lot of years between the two of you.
Yeah, between. Ooh.
You're almost as old as Methuselah between